Hey guys, Zaman
and Christina
from Our Rich Journey. On today's video, Christina and I want to talk about something that has been bothering us for quite some time. The U.S. retirement system and the guidance that so many people are following when it comes to planning for retirement. You see, if you know Christina and I's story, you know that we retired before the age of 40. And we were able to do this because we developed our own retirement plan and we took control of our finances. You see, there are so many flaws with the U.S. retirement system, and we hope by talking about some of those flaws in this video, you can avoid many of the pitfalls that so many people are falling victim to.
So we think by having this conversation, we can help you get closer to understanding how to successfully retire, and not only retire in the traditional sense, but even possibly retire early. So if you are new to our channel is all about making, saving, and investing money on the road to financial independence. Aman and I pursued financial independence for 8 years. We reached financial independence, quit our federal government jobs, and retired before the age of 40. So if you are interested in learning about ways to make, save, or invest money, make sure you subscribe to our channel and follow us on Instagram. Now, before we get started and go too much into detail on this video, we really want to define what we're talking about when we're talking about the U.S. retirement system. So we're talking about pensions, Social Security, Medicare, employer-sponsored retirement accounts. All of these things encompass what we refer to as the U.S. retirement scheme or the U.S. retirement system, and that's what we want to focus on in this video today. So let's get started with the first flaw. And the first flaw that we see is that so much of the US retirement system is focused purely on the age that you need to retire or that you should retire, and not on the focus of the amount of money that you need to retire. We see this as a huge problem because when you're moving along in age, that happens really passively. You are going to get older and older without any work whatsoever. And so sometimes people tend to think, I can put off planning for retirement because I have so many years down the line and it will somehow magically happen. But when you're focused on the amount of money that you need to retire, you have more control over taking active steps in order to reach that amount of money that you need.
And this is a powerful thing because when you talk about the age that you should retire, people use numbers that are everywhere. Maybe they say you're supposed to retire at 62, 65, 67. What is the age? But when you're talking about the amount of money that you need, imagine if you started working and you were able to identify how much money you would need, and you identified that number at the beginning of your career, you would know what efforts you needed to take in order to reach that number. That is exactly what Christina and I did when we started our FIRE journey. We calculated our FIRE number, the amount of money that we would need in order to retire, and we worked towards that number. We lived an intentional life to reach our goal. And this brings us to our next flaw, and it is the retirement system in the US has turned everybody into an investor and they don't even know it. Maybe you have a 401k or a Roth IRA. Those are investment accounts. And with those type of investment accounts, you need to act like an investor. And I'll give you an example of what I mean. In 2008, the stock market crashed and many people lost half of their 401k balances because they panicked and sold at the bottom. And then they tried to jump back in, but only after they had lost so much of their money. You see, when you look at your retirement as an investor, you have a long-term perspective. So a crash like what happened in 2008 and 2009, the successful people were the people that treated their retirement accounts like an investor would treat their brokerage account. They didn't panic. They stayed the course. In fact, they probably tried to invest more during the crash.
So I think what's so problematic about this particular point is that the system sets you up to become an investor, but doesn't give you the tools in order to educate yourself as an investor. So we're not learning about how to invest in elementary schools, in high schools, not even in college, but the system is designed for you to be a successful investor. And that becomes very problematic because the majority of people that have these 401ks and the IRAs, they're not educated on how to successfully invest. And this actually brings us to our next flaw. So under the US retirement system, not only do you not really learn how to invest, but you're also not learning how to withdraw the money once you reach retirement. And we think that is so flawed, because if you're able to amass enough money in your retirement accounts, you also have to understand how to properly withdraw from them. Now, we talk a lot about proper withdrawal strategies and how you withdraw from your retirement accounts in our FIRE Masterclass, but that is something that is so crucial for anyone that is pursuing an actual retirement. So to properly withdraw from your accounts, you need to know which accounts you're going to be drawing from them. In what order will you be withdrawing from them? How will you avoid taxes or reduce taxes in the process? Avoid penalties? How much money will you be living off of during the process? All of these things are so important, but again, the US retirement system is not designed to teach you about these strategies.
And so this is actually a very big problem, because when people get to the point where they have all of this money and they've retired, they need to be able to know exactly how much they're going to be taking every month. A lot of people tend to be very conservative, and they end up living a very frugal retirement and not enjoying themselves to the fullest. Or they overdo it and run out of money a lot sooner than they should have. And in some cases, maybe they're so scared to manage the drawdown themselves, they hand their money off to an annuity that charges them higher fees, and the annuity doesn't pay them as much as they could if they would have just managed the money themselves.
And the next flaw is a huge one that I think everyone in the US can relate to, and that is healthcare. The US system is designed so that most people get healthcare directly through their employer. And so a lot of people hold back on retirement because they are concerned about having to fund all of the costs associated with healthcare once they are no longer employed.
Now, I think we just need to pause on this particular flaw, because there is some irony involved. There are a lot of people that are working jobs that take a physical and mental toll on their health, but yet they can't leave that job because they are staying for the healthcare. I couldn't think of a worse situation to tie your healthcare to your employment. But there are ways that you can overcome this if you are pursuing early retirement, if you want to take control of your retirement date. And that is by building those benefits outside of your job, understanding what you have access to when you leave your job, because you don't have to be held hostage by your job for the healthcare. You can get it somewhere else.
Let's talk about our next flaw, which is the Social Security system. I'm sure we're going to get tons of comments about people's thoughts about this system, but at a minimum, we can say that we do not think that Social Security provides enough money for someone to retire comfortably. So if you're banking on Social Security, and if that Social Security is still in existence by the time you retire, you're also forced to find other ways to make money during retirement in order to live comfortably.
And not to mention, there is an incentive with Social Security for you to work longer. And as early retirees, we're not fans of anything that is forcing us to do something that we don't necessarily want to do. So there are many people that are purely banking on Social Security. They have not built any other assets that are going to support them in retirement. And if you are banking on Social Security, many people want to get the most they can for it. And as a result, they work as long as possible in order to get the greatest benefit. And this brings us to our final flaw, and it is that most people fail to consider other asset classes that can support them in retirement. You see, most people that are contributing to their 401k or investing in traditional IRAs are all investing in the stock market. And we think that is an amazing way to build wealth. But we are also fully aware of other options when it comes to supporting your retirement. You can invest in real estate. You can create a business. You can identify some other passive form of assets that can support your retirement. You just don't have to invest in the stock market. And so what we want people to do is to take all of these other things into consideration and just develop a plan that takes control of your retirement. Don't rely on anyone else doing it for you. You know your money better than anyone else. And so if you've liked this video, as usual, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and join the journey.